Welcome to your Thursday evening stroll around your celestial neighborhood. I'm Irene Pease, your friendly neighborhood astronomer, flying by the seat of my pants here, crashing into things, which maybe doesn't bode well for tonight's little adventure. Maybe it does, makes it more of an adventure, I hope. Pretty sure one thing's broken, but we might try it again someday. Anywho, yeah. So tonight is kind of a celebration of, well, the fact that I've been doing this for a year in my void. So this is how I supposedly maintain my insanity. Although I have to admit the Facebook thing makes me a little bit insane, but I think it all balances out. So it's all good. So thanks for joining me on this little tour. Tonight we have a super special choose your own adventure planned. And by planned, I mean I kind of threw it together in between grading and running between schools and classes and things. So there'll be things. I promise things. And not much professionalism. I'm a professional amateur astronomer is what I do is. So we'll be enjoying some visuals from Stellarium in just a moment. You can find Stellarium at stellarium.org. And right now, and again, after the Stellarium check-in, we'll be enjoying lots of visuals from OpenSpace, which you can find and download for free at openspaceproject.com. So yeah, so let's jump on over to our stellarium and see what gloriousness awaits us in the evening skies this week. Apparently there's no clouds, which is awesome. That's one of the things I like about stellarium. Great weather, beautiful mountains, snow-capped mountains of Brooklyn. Even in the summer, it's so cool and calming. So the things that I wanted to check out in the evening sky tonight, well, for this week, one is just the moon. There's, as a lot of you may know, American hero Michael Collins passed away this week. And if you want to kind of do like, I don't know, a little tribute to Michael Collins, I'm going to fast forward to our evening in sky, and you'll notice that it's actually not much moon out this week, which is kind of cool. If you want to go see the meteor shower. Did I say meteor shower? I think I just said meteor shower. What meteor shower would that be? I'm so glad you asked. Apparently, it's actually better viewed in the southern hemisphere, but we have the, what is it, the Delta Aquarids? Something fun happening in the wee hours of the morning. So Aquarius is like up right before the sun, basically. Didn't realize how early the sun is coming up. I was out 6 o'clock this morning on my way to Jamaica, and the sun's up. It's 6 a.m. Thanks, sun. So the moon is going to be up, and you can see this is a little bit more like early next week. I think the Eta Aquarids, so the radiant, the point that they seem to radiate from, is over in the constellation Aquarius, hence Eta Aquarids. So there's our water bearer, Aquarius. So it is pretty far south. So if you're, further south, like in the Caribbean, maybe you have some people in the Caribbean still, that might be a fun thing to look out for. The moon will be kind of skimming there, but it'll be setting just a little bit before the kind of peak hours on the 5th. So May 5th, the morning of Cinco de Mayo, I think that's your best shot at seeing some really awesome Eta Aquarids. But the moon is kind of going through a phase where not the regular side that we're used to seeing, but it's kind of lit from the other side. Or nope. Oh, I always get that one wrong. Okay, so now we're gonna have to deal with a marker here. Sorry. Still working on my stellarium. If I go back in time just a little bit, not that back in time. I need to go back in time this way to the first. We're actually seeing kind of the Sea of Sea of Tranquility, where that first Apollo landing was. So Serenity, Tranquility, Fecundity. So right in here is where the other two peeps landed, when Michael Collins was orbiting. So normally we see it lit. So they actually landed when it was lit from this. What we're seeing here is the right side, and the left side would have been dark. But this also shows some nice shadows and nice contrast to be able to see the Sea of Tranquility from kind of a different perspective. So that'll be happening in the wee hours of the morning because, again, the moon isn't out in our evening sky. But yeah, so moon, interesting phase if you're out, if you're kind of a night owl sort of person, and the Eta Aquarids, especially if you're a bit further south. And then also, if you're going to be up that stinking late, you might as well look for the other thing that we're focusing on tonight, right? The Milky Way. So if you're in a nice dark site like Brooklyn, let's go ahead and move the moon off the scene. We have this glorious Milky Way. And that's kind of the star of our show tonight. The Milky Way and you, because you get to pick which way we're going all around this fantastic galaxy of ours. So even here we can see it's a little bit thicker and brighter on one side, and then kind of not as bright on another side. So one of the first things we're going to look at is, do we want to go in closer to the center, or do we want to go further outward in the disk that we are? And then we'll also explore either north or south. So the North Galactic Pole is actually way up, I think, where we were looking at galaxies a little while back, in kind of near the constellation Virgo. If I rewind time, I think we have galactic coordinates in here. Those are not galactic coordinates. But I know we do have galactic coordinates in Stellarium, but we'll just kind of jump on over to open space and poke around in there. But yeah, so when we're looking one way out of our galaxy, we're looking over kind of towards Virgo, and then the other way, well, opposite of Virgo. Who's opposite of Virgo? One of the other zodiacal constellations, I suppose. So that's your challenge. Do my homework for me. Figure out what constellation is opposite Virgo in the sky. In the meantime, here's open space. So, yeah. So, open space. Here we are at planet Earth. And what's our first stop? Yes. Oh, yeah. So I'm supposed to put stuff in the chat. Let's see if I can copy and paste properly. So this is going to be, we're going to see. Our first option is to go either inward or outward, as I had mentioned. So if you respond to this comment, either like if you want to go inward, or love if you want to go outward. So we're just going to stay in the plane of the galaxy for now, but either moving in a little bit closer to the center, or we could move outward a little bit further from the center. So we'll see. I'll just give it a moment, kind of get my bearings over here, pull up the gazillion bookmarks that I have somewhere along with my cheat sheet, and giving us a spin. All right, so if I click the thing, does it tell me things? Uh-oh, I broke something. Nope, I didn't break it. Okay, I'm gonna go with, I think those are the hearts. So I think those are the loves. So that's outward. All right, we're headed outward. So outward, yeah, there's a couple stars that are actually pretty far out. Far out, get it? The poison ants, Brian, I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds delightful. Where's my outward? Oh, here it is. target. Want to target the outward. And just for a little bit of reference, I'll go ahead and turn on our constellation lines. So outward, we're actually headed towards one of the stars in Auriga, the charioteer. So there's the bright star Capella, and then there's these 3 stars that make up what they call the Kid. Kid is in small goat, not small child. So that one's pretty far out. Neum. And it sounds just like that in space. Just kidding, there's no sound in space. All right. So if we kind of turn around and maybe look back towards Earth, kind of get a different perspective from out here. Whoa! So this is one of the further stars from us that we still see in our night sky, bright enough as you can see. You can see it in the night sky. But it's pretty far out there. It's about 2,000, it's like 1,900 light years away. So as we move further out, there's just not quite as much stuff. And now I'm getting lost. Don't lose the galaxy, Irene. Okay. So there's not quite as much stuff, but there's a bit of stuff. We're kind of moving out. If we move outward, we're getting out towards the Perseus arm that's out here. Yay, Perseus arm. So we're kind of on what we would call the Orion spur. And if we move out a little bit more, we can see maybe, again, there's a few other stars that are further out that direction. But we can kind of see some of the spiral structure. And actually, if we're looking at spiral structure, maybe I should ask if people want to move north or south. So I'll go ahead and put that vote in the chat so people can respond to it. And I'll say just a few other words about moving further away from the center of the galaxy. Did it work? Did it work? Oh, there's so many windows. Okay, so which way are we going to go next, north or south? There's not up and down or space, but we do define like north and south. And usually we define that based on spin. But with the galaxy, I'm a little bit confused because it seems like we've defined it backwards, but whatever. Oops. So the other thing that's interesting about our galaxy, the Newton's laws of gravity more or less apply, right? So we would think that the further stars are like the slower they're spinning because I guess they're further from the center or whatever. Anyway, all I wanted to say about that was that they don't spin at the rate that we think they should. They kind of seem to level off, and so that's where we're like, oh, there's a bunch of matter that we can't see. We're going to call it dark, and that's like one of the evidences that we have, or one of the reasons we think there's all this extra stuff in our galaxy that's like pulling on things gravitationally, but not interacting very well with light. So yeah, kind of interesting, like plotting the velocities of stars like as a function of distance from the center of the galaxy. Yeah, so next up, it looks like we're going like for north, so we'll go north, and north is, which way was north? Oh, yeah, M3, which somehow ended up in another thing. M3. Whoa. Maybe that wasn't the best way to do that. But here we are. So basically, this is looking at the galaxy from, the north side. So you can still kind of see like our perspective, like where we are. So I'll just leave those constellation lines on as a marker. And you can see a little bit more of our spiral structure. So the galaxy is actually a bit more of a bar than just a central bulge. So it is more elongated. And if you see in like the Gaia data, like it's kind of amazing to see how that like really popped out with this space telescope that's plotting the positions and other information about just, a couple billion stars like you do. Um, so I think there's other maps, but this is like a nice image kind of showing like we're between some major arms. So again, out here, that would be more the Perseus arm. And then and we just, notice we basically name them after constellations that they run through. And then interior to us would be the Sagittarius arm, and then like the Norma, and then I think that morphs into something else. But yeah, that Sagittarius arm I think is this one, and then Norma, which is the southern constellation. So if you don't recognize it, that's not your fault. Unless you live in the southern hemisphere, then it's totally your fault. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. So we're actually visiting what we call a globular cluster. So I can just kind of turn some of those on to get a sense of where those are in the galaxy. So like I said, this is M3 that we're visiting. That's kind of high up above the galactic plane. Most of the globular clusters, they don't actually look like yellow pentagons in the sky, but in this data set, that's how we have them, just kind of so we can pick them out compared to like other bits and pieces of the galaxy. So there's about 150 of these. They're bright and sparkly and awesome, and I talk about those enough. I think I've done like a whole show or two about them, and I will do some more. But the main thing is there's some of the more distant objects that are still part of our galaxy. So they're kind of good targets for getting us like high up above, or below, I should say, high north or high south, way off of the plane. Because they're kind of in this halo that is still part of our galaxy. So, I mean, the galaxy is like, 100,000 light years edge to edge. We're about halfway out on it. But then instead of just being in a plane, so the plane's like a few thousand light years thick, but the whole thing extends out like more spherical and even beyond like what we're kind of seeing here. So getting a kind of more of a sense of the extent of the galaxy, so you can see like even beyond M3, there's still more globular clusters way up there and other stars that orbit way up there. Our sun is pretty stable, just orbiting more or less in the plane of the galaxy. So kind of leave that on as a marker as well. So it's kind of our stable orbit over the next billion-ish years. So it's about 220 to 25 million years for the sun to make one lap around the galactic center. So this is fun. Kind of seeing some of the further objects that are in our galaxy. But as we're moving on, and there's one other thing I want to point out, but I'll go ahead and put the next step in the comments so people can pick which way to go next. And I'm not going to elaborate on this. Just use your imagination, or maybe not too much imagination. Post. Oh, I hope that posts. Oh, yeah, okay, I posted. Great. Sorry. And the galaxy's drifting away. So one thing that we can also kind of see in the background here from the north side of the galaxy, as we're looking through it, we can see, other galaxies. So we have some friendly little neighbors, our friendly little neighbor galaxies in the background there. The large and small Magellanic Clouds that you can kind of see through the fuzzy and haze of our galaxy. So if we were on the south side, you'd be able to see those maybe in your night sky, depending on where you were. If we're at M3, I think we can spin around and see our neighbor to the north-ish. No idea. I'm trying to remember which way to go. But we also have our neighbor, it's a little bit further away, the Andromeda Galaxy. So that would be somewhere up in the north. Not seeing it, but I know it's there. Oh, nope, that's the south one again. That's okay. So yeah, so neighbors to the south, neighbors to the north, neighbors all around. So we're not alone in space, but I don't want to talk about other galaxies. I want to talk about the Milky Way tonight. We're just sticking with our galaxy. We can do others later. I don't know why it made graveyards bold. I hope I didn't like accidentally tag someone, because that's not creepy. So we love the graveyards. let's uh let's maybe check out the graveyards. I just want to double check a Facebook thing because I'm bad at the Facebook. Let's see if I click on this, what happens? Anything break? Nothing broke. Okay, great. On to the graveyards. Oh, let me just try and close that out. All right, so for our graveyards, what kind of graveyards would we be visiting? So some of you might have some ideas about what that might entail, which graveyards I could be talking about. Yeah, we're gonna go to, I think this is the one. This is C3, 3C 391. So 3C is the third Cambridge survey of some objects. And I was kind of surprised that it popped up in here. Let me just double check that I'm going to the right spot. Yep, this is the right spot. So it's this kind of hazy area, kind of on the far side of the galaxy from us. Let me just, if I turn this on, yeah, no, that doesn't turn on. So just for a little bit of context, maybe get rid of some of the globular clusters. And turn these on. So yeah, so these red dots, these are what we call supernova remnants, which is kind of what it sounds like. Leftovers from a supernova. So basically a really massive star that, kind of went kablooey. So used up its nuclear fuel and maybe had a companion, maybe didn't. So there's different types of supernovas, but there are these very energetic explosions. And in some cases you have like this kind of just expanding region of debris in space. So it's a bunch of gas and stuff rapidly expanding out. These are, I guess, not too terribly long-lived objects. But I just like this one because it's like way over on the far side of the galaxy, which I think is amazing that we were even able to find this. So if we can see if I can swing around and see where our markers were for, yeah, for the Earth. Yeah, so there we are over there. And so we come around, we're basically past the galactic bar. Speaking of astronomy on tap, oh, galactic bars. And that reminds me of another thing that's coming up. But yeah, so these red dots all basically exploded stars. And fortunately, the universe recycles, right? So all this gas that's represented by all these red hexagons, septagons. It's all gonna, well, a lot of it is going to form other things eventually. So this is what happens with the really massive stars that kind of blow up and die off. That can happen to smaller stars, but in a less dramatic way. So our sun is not going to go supernova ever. It's not going to be, it's not quite massive enough to do that. But I do have another pit stop on here that we should visit that's kind of like a graveyard, not as dramatic as this one. I just need to be able to, oh, these are such teeny tiny numbers. So yeah, so we're heading for NGC 5307 if you want to, take notes or anything. NGC 5307. And did I click it? 5307. Go. Nero. So this is going to be, just kind of drift in there, a planetary nebula. I can find my planetary nebulae. They are blue triangles. Oh, isn't that sweet? So coming in to our chosen planetary nebula, I think I kind of like this one for being, again, kind of far from the sun, but kind of near where it passes through. Is this one the one that was near the orbit? Eh, not quite. Okay, so also kind of on a far side of the galaxy. So this is what our sun is going to do someday. Basically, puff off its outer layers of gas, and then like just the core of the sun will be left behind as like a white dwarf star, which will slowly fade over long periods of time. And I don't know what happens. I guess it just cools off and drifts around. It's kind of whatever. But yeah, so that's what happens to the smaller stars or the medium-sized stars like our sun. So again, universe recycles, so that gas can get swept up. You can see most of these are still kind of in the plane of the galaxy, so a lot of that gas can collect and form like another generation of stars and planets and fun things and beer and whatever else we need for astronomy on tap. So there's like our little bit of a graveyard, and I guess we're kind of getting to the end here. Yeah, that's about it. So I guess the last, our last stop here. Sorry, there's a typo I have to fix real quick. I'll pop this in here, and then I'm going to try a thing that might break everything just because I'm feeling kind of ambitious, and it worked on Wednesday. 2 whole days ago, so it probably won't work today because it was kind of crashing my open space tonight. Pretty sure I missed a comma somewhere and now my file is broken, but that's the fun of programming. So for our next adventure, we can either go back home to Earth, so like for home to Earth, comfy cozy, and love for heading into a supermassive black hole. And I can kind of predict which one we'd be doing. I can guess. Do I know my audience? I don't know. Maybe. I think I just know people in general. Looks like we're going into the black hole. So, yeah. So there's this thing in the center of the galaxy. It's a black hole. We call it Sagittarius A star. And we don't actually have it in here, but there's another pulsar that's like super like ridiculously dangerously close to the center. So it's kind of cool. Like we actually know how massive this thing is. We call it supermassive because it's like 4 million solar masses, so 4 million times the mass of our sun, and we get that by gravity, by following what we know about gravity. Let me just kind of tame this down a little bit so you can appreciate how stinking close we're getting to the center. Oh yeah, there we are. You can see that little smudge there. But yeah, so there's actually much more massive black holes in the centers of other galaxies. So if you kind of tune this down, you can see kind of, we're getting to the center, like that little fuzzy blob. But it looks prettier like this if we're just like, there's all this energy and stuff. And we're going to get melted and, sucked in, and I feel like I'm getting spaghettified or something. So don't actually go into a black hole, folks. It's dangerous. I think most people know better than to actually like just, jump into a black hole because there's no coming back. Could be interesting. Lions and tigers and supermassive black holes. Oh my, thanks, Fred. Yes, exactly. So, yeah, we don't actually know what's on the other side. A lot of like interesting theories about like what that'll look like if you're falling into a black hole. There's really cool videos that you can find on YouTube and stuff about what that could look like. But again, like our supermassive black hole is just like a little peanut compared to like supermassive black holes in other galaxies, like the one we imaged in the elliptical galaxy M87. So we have what we have. Just be happy with the black hole we have. And I guess I'll just leave you here dangling in space. if you want to hang out for just a sec, I will try one last thing. It's probably going to break. It's probably going to break. Let me see if I can find the breaking thing. All right. So where did we go tonight? We went from the Earth and then we went inward to a thing. Maybe, do I have, uh-oh, I think I missed a file somewhere. Right. Ignore that. So many files. So yeah, so if I just do a quick recap here, I'm gonna try a quick recap. So we went from the Earth to we went outward, right? So we went out somewhere. Yeah, ignore that. To where did we go? I think we went to this star. So if I put this star in my file like so, and oops, and like so, and then we went north, I believe. So we went up to M3, and we saw kind of the view, and we were able to look through the galaxy and see things on the other side. And then we went to some graveyards. So we saw a Supernova Remnant, 3C 391 from that fabulous Cambridge survey. So let me just add that in here. And so that, again, is what happens with supermassive black holes when they die off. And then we explored a planetary nebula. So we stopped by little NGC 5307. So we went to NG3 5307 and saw what will happen. Well, I talked about what would happen to the sun someday. And then, of course, we went to Sagittarius star. So I think I know why this broke earlier, but I'm going to try a thing anyway. In case it won't break. And I always have my panic button. Oh, goodness. Okay. So, whoopsies. One of these. And it's not in there. Okay. All right. So, so I will post, I'm going to post an image of our path because I did some fantastic work so we could actually see where all we went. So I'll try to post that in the comments so you can find that tomorrow or whenever I get around to posting things, hopefully sooner rather than later. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me for this little choose your own adventure. Thanks for choosing and adventuring around our Milky Way Galaxy. If you enjoyed this, let me know. If you have suggestions for other tours or other choose your own adventures, let me know. Speaking of bars at the center of the galaxy and astronomy on tap, yes, Towel Day is coming up in like less than a month, and yes, we will be doing a hitchhiker's tour around the galaxy / universe. Using the same fabulous visuals, Stellarium, which you can find at stellarium.org, and OpenSpace, which you can find and download for free at openspaceproject.com. Thanks, everyone. Clear skies. Be safe out there. Go get vaccinated.